Hi, welcome to Dice Control Dojo. I'm Phil and I practice every day. Share my tips so we can all get better at the casino. We have 10 days to go. 10 days to our team play at the casino. I'm very excited. Been practicing double sessions. I've done a lot of different types of practice just to be fun and kind of zone in and hone in on on what I'm trying to do for when I get to the casino. It's very important that my muscle memory, my mental memory is right. So, what are we looking at? And my ambassador is going to hate me for this for the dice crew, but I want to make sure that we know what type of table we have because I'm practicing on the same table every day. So, I want to talk first about how you adapt to the different types of tables, the different types of felts, the different types of things that are going on at a table, right? Whether it's 12 feet, 14 feet, microfiber, felt, um, drinks on the table, dead zones, whatever it is, we have to be able to adapt a little bit. Ideally, I'd love my perfect shot, right? What's my perfect shot? My perfect shot is what I do every day. And, if you're not an advanced thrower, that I am not, but I'm just going to talk a little bit about it because I think sometimes you have to adapt. And with the dice, the different tables, they're always trying to throw a curve in. They have those new bubble craps or those other surfaces that have the plastic top on there too. And that surface may be totally different than what you're used to being at home doing this. So, how do you adapt to it? Well, I personally say, like my ambassador is going to hate, I like my 5 first throws. So what do I do for the 5 first throws? If you look at my older video, I dead cat. So my first one goes to get the muscle memory to see how far that back wall is. So I want to hit that back wall right in the corner, and I want it to land right at the corner here. So now my brain and I, because we're looking together, is seeing how far we have to throw. Then my next 3 throws, I want to try and get to know. Now look you don't have to do this at every time you're at the same table all weekend. But I'm thinking that if I'm at a table that I'm not familiar with, I don't know why not throwing 5 throws out there just to see how you're doing and see how the table works before you start putting some real money down is a bad thing. But some people don't have that. They're impatient. And in this game, patience is the virtue. The more you can relax, the more money that's going to come to you. So, my first 5 throws, I'm trying to find where my perfect zone is. Also, too, you can see if there's betters out there, you have to vary where your throw is because of where the chips are. Remember, we're trying to find this small surface area that we're going to land the zone in and have it sit. So I like having to see my first 5 throws by throwing a dead cat right in the corner. Then I go 1, 2, 3. That's my 4th one. Then my 5th one is just zoning in. So if this was the place, this is my zone right here. My 5th throw, before I make any other bets, I'm just going to make sure I have it at the right angle, at the right speed, in the right spin for that throw. And in my perfect throw, like I said, 1 or 2 spin backwards, lands about 6 inches back, hits the wall, hits and dies. That's ideally my perfect throw, right? Okay, so what are we going to do? So now I found my throw, and if it's a perfect table, if it's my table, and this is my table, then I'm going to do my the absolute perfect throw, my number 1 throw, right? It's going to sit up, down, it sits in this zone. That's perfect. But what am I doing? What's my angle? I'm coming in at a low angle, up and down. It's probably like, I don't know, 35% angle coming in. What do you do for a hard table? Well, if it's a harder table, if this is a rock, right, you got to come in a little lower. And so your angle may have to be a little bit lower than you're used to. So what does that look like? Remember, our dice are releasing based on your throw. It's not, you're not releasing it with your fingers. So the angle, if it's a higher angle, that means you have to have the dice come out of your fingers higher than lower, and it has to come out lower. So this is all on speed, right? On how fast your muscle memory is. If it's a, a, a larger throw or a softer throw, it'll come out a lot lower angle if you're throwing it slow, your arm is a slower speed. So this is more advanced stuff, but it's tweaking. We don't want to overstimulate. My number one throw should be the throw I'm doing, right? And that's generally what I'm going to do. But how do you tweak it? If it's a hard surface and it's going to bounce and go all over the place, you want it to be nice and slow. So my angle's going to come in a little lower, and so it won't be, the hard surface won't make the dice flail around. If it's a bouncy table, if it's super bouncy, well, you don't want to come in like that because the dice are going to bounce all over the place. So then, once again, you want a nice lower angle. You want to come in at it down here so that it kind of bounces. Now, we'll talk about where to hit the spot, but in angle differences, I think my number one throw, like my best throw, my perfect throw, I'm at around 40%, 40-degree angle, I'm sorry. And then at a hard or a soft table, depending on what I see that my perfect throw. If it's bouncy or if it's hard, I'm going to want to come in lower and slower, all right, to try and make sure that the table doesn't bounce my dice all over the place. You're going to come in lower and slower. So I'm thinking when we're talking about your arm angles, what does that look like? How do you come in lower and slower? Like for me, when I'm doing it, like a 14-foot table, I got to go back more, right? So that I can get more speed to come through, right? And get it to go further. But for the release, right, it's all on speed. So when I'm talking about coming back and going through, that's going to be like the same thing all the time, right? Your release is going to be the same. But if you got to go higher, right, that means your speed has to pick up on your large muscles so that the angle goes higher. And if you want to go lower, you do it at a slower angle, a softer throw. So when I come back like this, then then I'm just releasing not as much. So when you're releasing, you still want to follow through, but your speed is slowed down. So I do low and slow is what my thing is, but low and slow for me is like 40 degrees with a couple spins, but and the speed of it is slow. But if it's a hard table or a very bouncy table, then that's really slow. You're going to come in at a lower angle, and you got to kind of work that out, right? I'm not perfect at this yet, but I'm going to just try and adapt my throw just to tweak. I don't have to change the angle 1,000% because I'm not that good at it yet. I'm still learning this throw. So I'm just trying to show you that if you're seeing it's a super bouncy table and my first throw, my perfect throw, has too much of an angle on it, then I'm going to go back up and I'm just going to throw it a little less. I'm going to put a little less effort on it and try and see if it skirts up there. And by doing the arm speed, That's what's going to give you the angle difference. So a faster speed coming through is going to put it up high and down. A slower speed, low and slow, it'll release out of your fingers down here versus up here, and it'll give you the angle you need. So I hope that makes sense. This is an extreme difference. We're talking millimeters of difference, right? I'm not going to change, make it a 90-degree angle. I'm just talking the difference of a little angles to try and hopefully offset the way this is bouncing. This is why observing how people are throwing, what the table's doing a 5 count at the beginning to see what your bounce is like on your throw, and seeing if you can adapt it to make sure it's landing in that square that you want. And that's what's going to make you throw for a long, long time.